this one particularly like very 50-50. It's like although they're bringing Seth out to look like the hero, Triple H is still getting the better of him and still working on that knee, leaving like doubts in people's minds, like how healed is Seth Rollins' knee? Is it capable of sustaining like up until WrestleMania? I guess that's kind of the fact that, you know, maybe it's not. Maybe his knee isn't like 100%. Maybe there is a doubt that he might not be able to make WrestleMania. And if that's the case, you know, that's a smart way to play it, I guess. You know, so if the match doesn't happen, they can always postpone it. But I would be completely against that. I've been waiting, you know, a year and a half plus for this match, and they keep getting put off, and it's not Seth's fault, but he keeps getting injured, and it's not great on Seth's record to actually look like a liability when it comes to actually big main events. You know, you don't want to miss 2 WrestleManias in a row. It wouldn't go down particularly well, but you know, I just want to get this one out of the way in the end. You know, if it's going to come down to it, just put it on at WrestleMania, get this out of the way. And like you though, when this Raw segment came on and Mick Foley was being questioned and like his judgment was being analysed and, you know, his manhood criticised, I did kind of want to see him stand up for himself, and it definitely brought back those nostalgic memories, like of particularly the Royal Rumble street fight that they had. And I was thinking to myself, you know, don't mess with Triple H. You know, he's kicked your ass before. He retired you once before. And I was thinking, I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of a reignition of this flame, because that was one hell of a great feud. And if people had chemistry, it was Mick Foley and Triple H. They could really go. And I'm not feeling that with Seth Rollins and Triple H. This whole kind of heated rivalry they're supposed to have doesn't really feel... It feels like lukewarm at most. Why would Triple H have this much hatred to Seth Rollins? And why does Seth Rollins have this much hatred towards Triple H? It really doesn't make much sense. And, you know, kind of when you're writing a story like that, you really need to actually get the details down, because Seth Rollins is going around still doing the pedigree, and you're thinking, why would you do that? You at least change your finisher, because it's not going to work pedigree versus pedigree.
Yeah. Well, we had a lot of listeners' emails this week, just to wrap it up in one, and everybody kind of pinpointing why did they not do Shane versus Triple H, where there seems like they can bring some realistic stuff into it, and leave AJ alone, but leave Seth alone, and you know, let Seth heal whatever he's got to do, and possibly use you know, AJ in a better way. Matt, the other thing coming off this, of course, is the amount of names that are not, you know, apparently booked. I'm surprised that Braun isn't in anything spectacular. I've got a feeling he's gonna just be in that Battle Royal. You know, it seems like a bit of a wasted opportunity there. You know, if you want to go so far down, I mean, you think, oh, poor Rusev these days. You think of, you know, you think of some other names. But what about where does Finn Balor fit into all this? Is it now guaranteed he's not coming back to after WrestleMania? Because he did show up at the house show at MSG, but I thought if anything he would be back on Raw. It's not happened. There's nothing guaranteed for him. Is it a waiting game now, Matt? And obviously, you know, there isn't enough time to build anything credible now. So is it a time where we were not going to see him at this year's WrestleMania? Was going to be his first one. We're going to wait until after. Do you think?
Well, it does feel like we're running out of time a bit, and you know, the injury that you had was really unfortunate, and it did come at the wrong time. And, you know, much like Seth Rollins did last year. But if I was WWE, I'd be booking him for more major things like post-WrestleMania. I'd have him on the Raw after WrestleMania, in fact, you know, just to generate a big buzz, you know, for the year to come in wrestling. And, you know, book your next pay-per-view around Finn Balor's return. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be a great thing for WrestleMania, but they seem to be set in their ways. Like, they've already determined that, you know, Brock and Goldberg is the greatest match you're going to see this year. Not that I'll like swing that way, but you know, if that's what they want to do, then you know, WWE go ahead and do that. But you know, I would love to see Finn Balor return, but I'm not feeling it's his time right now. So yeah, that's all I can say. I just hope that they change their mind, but I doubt it. I think it'll be more of a next year's kind of thing, you know.
And Samoa Joe, do we just expect that he's going to be involved in the Triple H Seth Rollins plot at WrestleMania? Like, they don't look like they've got anything very keyed up for him either going into WrestleMania.
Well, you know, Samoa Joe looks about as geared in as what Sami Zayn is.
Yeah.
You know, how criminal is it? You know, that these guys. You know, last year I would say that Sami Zayn versus Nakamura was the best match of the year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not even on the main roster. This was an NXT match, and it, for me, best match of the year. But okay, of course, everyone else, no, not good enough to get onto WrestleMania. And you know, Nakamura, not even like considered to be moved up to the main roster.
Mm-hmm.
This is what really gets me questioning. You know, I'm thinking, you know, the guy is capable. For me, Sami Zayn is a bit hit and miss. You've got to put him in a good storyline to get the best out of him. But a lot of the time, they've been putting him in a lot of rubbish storylines and rehashing the same stuff, like the stuff between him and Kevin Owens. Of course, there's history there, but it's been so overutilised now. It's really become watered down. They really need to actually rethink what direction they're going to put Sami Zayn in to get the most out of him. And I think if they actually had planned something like that, we could be looking at potentially one of the best matches at WrestleMania, but it doesn't really look like there's anything planned for Joe or Sami Zayn, which is, it's a bit silly, like I would say, because, you know, I'd be really looking forward to it if they had something decent.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. So being that as it may, that's where we are with WrestleMania thus far. Not really jumping off the page at me, and yet last year we had so many injuries going in that I felt like with all this talent now, they should clearly be able to do something. We've not even spoke about people, of course, like Dean Ambrose, and you think of his match with Brock last year. What a waste of time that was, by the way. Not exactly done anything tremendous there for either guy after that, but it seems the same sort of thing, Matt. Like last year I felt the same. I felt like all the matchups were wrong. Didn't have a problem with the wrestlers, but I felt like Shane versus Undertaker was completely ridiculous. Again, I would have rather have had Shane against Triple H when there was some buzz, when Shane first come back. I think that was the better way to go. And I felt, you know, rather than, I think it should have actually been Roman and Undertaker last year, quite frankly, for the title, rather than Triple H and Roman. But just to have two sort of separate matches. And I think Brock Lesnar himself, I mean, even if we would have had Brock Roman 2 last year, that would have probably been a little bit of a better idea. I really do feel that, again, this year going in, we have a lot of wrestlers who I feel could have been broken up and like in their matches, like Goldberg and Lesnar would have done so much more for the other guys on the roster had they been split and going against other opponents. But we will see. I mean, you never know. We might come out of it, Matt, and we might say, well, actually, it all worked out. You know, it was a great night. Whether that will happen, Matt, I think we have to. It'd be very, very sort of close to the mark of thinking anything can happen, but you never know. Being as that may, as that is, of course, WrestleMania week for us on the Wrestling Skull podcast. Before we move on to NXT, gives me a bit of time to tell everyone what's going to come up on that. And of course, it's that time to play the music to get us all buzzed up for it. WrestleMania week, folks, on the Wrestling Skull podcast. 8 episodes in 8 days. Starting from Monday, we're going to have the original show from us. We're also that week going to have the Wrestling Art Show, the 20 back of WrestleMania 97, the Magnificent 7 special, the most anticipated matches of WrestleMania history. Find out who me and Matt picked on that one. Plus the NXT preview and review, build up to the Hall of Fame, and of course WrestleMania preview, along with, of course, the Monday after, the big one, I'm sure it will be, is the review of WrestleMania. All that and more coming that week, so stay tuned until then. Trying to get us buzzed up. So there you go. WrestleMania week, Matt. Definitely going to be busy for us regardless. Matt, I want to talk about something else that happens over WrestleMania. Of course, it's going to be NXT TakeOver. Not a lot of buzz about this, and you think, last year, Matt, NXT, you were sort of saying to yourself, NXT could pull off a better card than anything. Of late, they haven't. I don't think they've got the roster to cope with the current situation that they're trying to deal with turning up on these weekends, and now they're trying to have NXT TakeOver shows, these big ones, these extra big ones going in at the sort of Royal Rumbles and Mania, SummerSlam and Survivor Series now. I do feel like they're stretching it maybe a little bit too much for the current roster. But what we do have announced, of course, is Bobby Roode and Shinsuke Nakamura, the sort of rematch between these two. Is that getting you pumped, Matt? I think it'll be a good match, but on the big scheme of things, it's pretty much all they've got to sell on this takeover, isn't it? Really, this one.
Yeah, it'll be a great match, but it is the main draw for this NXT, and that's kind of a shame because every kind of NXT I've seen, there's been multiple matches on there that I've been dying to see. I'm excited to see the direction and who will come out as champ, but we're looking at NXT now, where you're looking at people like Nakamura, and you're thinking he should already be on the main roster, but he can't be allowed to let go because they need him to draw ratings on NXT. And even like Bobby Roode, he's been in there a short while, but he's bound for the main roster, and if they had more talent down on NXT, he should have been given the fast track, up the ladder straight away. So it's a little bit of a disappointment. I'm waiting for the injection of fresh talent. Get people in there. Ring of Honor is ripe for the picking right now. You could get people get someone like the Young Bucks in there. If you could get them, and I know it would be difficult to do, but it would make NXT that much more viewable for the audience out there that actually have become a bit disillusioned with it now. Gone are the days like when we went to Brooklyn to see it, and we were blown away. I'm not saying that it's gone downhill that much, but I'm just saying that the whole new era kind of feel is dwindled down a little bit. Cassius Ono has now come back and he's straight away injected into the title picture, no questions asked. He's a great talent, but he has been absent for a while now, and it just kind of questions why he's injected. It's because there's a lack of talent down there.
Matt, with the am I right in thinking I've missed quite a lot of the NXT shows, but am I right in thinking the Revival have been pretty much written out of stuff now? Are they involved in anything, or have I just not seen them?
I think it's what's that new dominant? I forgot the name.
The House of is it House of Pain? Yeah. It was a pain, and you've got Ciampa and that, and then I think they've been thrown into the mix, in a trickle of what we're getting on the Raw tag team division, like a triple threat kind of tag team thing. Right.
They keep getting involved in each other's matches, and it's looking like that way. And it's looking like if you was going to predict anybody that's going to get called up after WrestleMania, it would probably be the Revival, because they've been so ready for so long, and the tag team divisions on the main roster are really stale. They could do with an injection of something like the Revival. It would really freshen things up. And as much as I'd like to see Sheamus and Cesaro recapture those titles, I think the Revival could easily fit in on Raw or SmackDown. Just take your pick.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they are missing something. You think about American Alpha was so big in NXT recently, and the oldies are sort of gone. A lot of me thinks Paul Tyler Breeze, I wish he was in NXT now, because he'd actually be doing something decent, but he'd probably be a main eventer. But to where he is now, it's ridiculous. It does seem slightly strange. I do think they need a bit of an influx of talent coming in again. I know last year, Matt, we had quite a lot of people turn up from TNA. You know, Bobby Roode and Eric